I would definitely recommend Frank Kazai Funeral Home, Essling Chapel. I talked with other funeral homes in our community, but changed my mind after stopping at Essling Chapel. I'm so pleased that I did. Thank you, Frank Kazai and Essling Chapel. Frank is an incredible asset and the perfect man for the job. Frank made a very difficult time easier with his warm and genuine ways.
About the LaPorte County financial health. We'll talk about the recently approved local income tax, how it could impact things, the property tax issues. If you have questions about that, we'd love to answer those. I won't answer them. I'll ask them. But we got the man here to answer that for you if you have any questions about it. First, though, I want to tell you the starting time for the Slicer baseball game at Kankakee Valley today has been changed to 4:45 at Kankakee Valley. So if you're planning on going to that, make sure you note the change in time. It will start at 4:45 because of the weather stuff. So now to our guest today. Hey Tim, how are you? Yeah, no kidding. How are you, buddy? Welcome to the show.
Good. It's Friday.
No, it is Friday.
Not Monday.
Thank God it's not Monday. Yes, exactly. It's good. It's good to not be Monday. It's good to be Friday. If you have a question today, you're welcome to call us 219-362-0522 or email me at soundoff@967theeagle.com. So I want to talk a little bit about for our listeners. And again, I like to assume our listeners, some of them are very informed, some of them aren't. Explain to our listeners what an auditor does for the county and what kind of it's an elected position. What is it that you do so that our listeners know?
Well, the auditor is the chief financial officer of LaPorte County, and the duty, and that's not me saying that, that's a term that's commonly used, and in training that we receive, they emphasize that that's who we are so that we take the position seriously and realize the weight of it. The duties are, I could boringly read you the Indiana Code statutes, or I could just talk broadly speaking. There are four main functions. One is, first and foremost, we pay the county's bills. We're the claims paying agent. So the centralized authority, department heads, and there's dozens of them, say, okay, I authorize this service. Here's the bill. Here's the authorization to pay. I'm signing off on this, Mr. Auditor. Please pay this. We're the centralized pay agent for the county. We review the claims. It's been in the news recently regarding a certain vendor, and my disputing some of those claims. And we pay the county's bills. One of the major bills that we pay, usually amounting to about $1.1 or $1.2 million every 2 weeks, is payroll, and that's a claim. That's paying our employees. So that's and we have a payroll department. Some people outsource it to ADP or some outside, but we do it in house. It's cheaper that way. County's done it that way a long time. So we got payroll and we got claims paying, and then we are the agent that takes filings from the public. In fact, the most face time that the general public would have with our office is to accept the filing of property tax deductions. You have your gross assessed value that the assessor's office downstairs from our building does, determines the gross assessed value, and then you have various deductions. The most common, of course, we could talk about this later, the error that occurred in my office, the Homestead standard and supplemental deduction, mortgage deduction, over 65 deduction, blind or disabled, veterans. Those are the most common deductions. We take those get deducted from your calculation of your taxation to make sure you get the right tax bill. And if after all those deductions your taxes would still be lower as a homesteader, if you live in your house, you get the lesser of that deducted your gross taxation with all those deductions, or 1% of the gross, whichever is lower. And that, we can have that discussion later about the error that happened in my office. But so we do that. We take property tax exemption filings from people, and then I also have the real estate department, which is across the hall. And essentially, what they mainly do is prepare properties that are sold for taxation, to make sure everything's right and proper with that. They're kind of a go-between between and amongst the assessor and the recorder and the auditor's office, which is getting these properties properly set up for taxation.
So there's a lot of intra work going on between your office, the assessor's office, the treasurer's office, or all of that. What's interesting,
The financial function of LaPorte County, it's the trio of officers, treasurer,
The triumvirate,
assessor,
right.
the triumvirate, the trio.
So what's interesting though is, whereas some county offices specifically handle just, let's say, county, county areas, you guys are assessing and doing all the taxes for all the people that also live in the cities, right? So just because you live in a city, don't think that you're not under the purview of the auditor and because you guys are sending all the tax bills out, these kind of things. I was actually, as you were talking,
Yes.
I don't even know the answer to this. I should. What is the county's annual budget? Roughly, you don't have to give me an exact.
Well, if you look at the financial statements for the county, which is probably the best way to do it, the GAAP financial statements, it's about $100 million.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's there's different. You can look at the general fund.
Yeah.
You can look at, but I think what outside investors would look at is just a few years ago we started to need to be required, because of our size, our population, they're slowly phasing this in, to report our numbers to what outside investors who buy our bonds, et cetera, would want to look at. So that's probably the easiest way is if you look at those financial statements, it's $100 million, $100 million corporation as a ballpark number.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
Sizable.
Yeah. So we got Tim Stabosz, LaPorte County Auditor, in here today. If you've got a question, 219-362-0522. You're also welcome to email me at soundoff@967theeagle.com. One of the things I want to talk about is I was interested to hear in your take, especially because you do usually talk from a background of financial experience, these kind of things.
I do have a background in finance.
Yeah,
that's true. More than accounting, actually. Although I do have a bachelor's degree in accounting, but finance has been my first love.
Right?
Investing, interest rates, and the like. Yeah.
One of the things that I was interested in following, some of your, not evolution, but you were very early on when you said with the county, when the conversation started about public safety, first responders, these kind of things. You did say, listen, there's essentially two ways to do this, right? You either cut the budget or you raise the taxes. And so, and you kind of, I think, obviously you're not a policy maker. You're a policy informer, maybe. You can say, you help inform policy, but you don't make the policy. So explain a little bit about where you're at on local income tax. Do you think, how is it going to impact our tax revenue? Do you think it's helpful? Where did you fall on some of that?
Yeah. So, the county, I was surprised when I bumped into a salary study from late 2016 that the county had done, and I took office January of 2021. A salary study that cost a sizable amount of money. That recommended on average increases for most county employees that they were underpaid between 5 and 10%. Some weren't underpaid at all. Actually, elected officials were overpaid, including myself, frankly, because of a raise that was given the year prior that shouldn't have been given, quite honestly. But on average, there was a 5 to 10% underpayment. And so I was surprised that nothing was done with that study. And I took an interest in that, So as we've had with COVID and other things, especially the public safety area, where, oh my goodness, we're not getting anyone applying for these jobs, de facto, and through the anecdotes, the stories that, oh my goodness, Hammond or South Bend is paying $15,000 more than us. We're screwed.
Exactly.
And so they took especially seriously at the council level, for example, EMS, that, they just weren't getting anyone. And so a sizable raise was given in that department for EMS employees. All the other county employees got either a 5% or 6% raise. So the council has just is in the process, council and commission, of doing another study. You got updated, I guess. So in looking at that study and doing a blended increase of 7% or so, I came up with a number that the county would need around $2 million of new money. So and suggested that. I went publicly and said it because I thought it was my responsibility as the chief financial officer of LaPorte County, the Democrat, Republican, whatever I am. You need to know as the council what your options are, and it's my obligation to present them to you. And I'm going to show political courage and saying, okay, this discussion needs to happen. It doesn't mean, you need to increase the tax at all. Maybe LaPorte County because it can be a good place to work. Maybe certain salaries you can get by. I mean, as long as certain departments get enough applicants, maybe you don't need to give them the raises. I mean, I don't know. But to get an openness of a discussion going, that there's no forbidden fruit, or there's no things that are not permitted to discuss. And coincidentally, at the same time, I think Mayor Dermody had given outsized raises to City of LaPorte employees, raises that he frankly couldn't afford. And that's not I'm not bashing him. I'm just saying that's just what the situation was. It couldn't be afforded. And unsurprisingly, he realized that one of the ways that he would pay for that, or could pay for that, is to have the county raise the local income tax. And the number that he sought was 1/2%, and that would raise for the county, that would raise $6.7 million. So then
that's just the county's piece of the pie.
That's the county's piece of the pie, which is about 55% of the total take, which I think was about $13 million or so.
And I know there was a broader conversation too, to essentially say, if we're going to raise the taxes, let's make sure that's new money, right? That it's going towards public safety, because which never really got resolved. I think the way that I know some people wanted to say, if we're going to raise that amount of money for public safety, let's use it for public safety.
I think that there were some very disciplined people, including Commissioner Haney, who, I mean, the commissioners don't get to decide to raise the tax; the council does. But Commissioner Matias took a stance. Commissioner Haney took a stance. They took a stance, so that's fine. But I think that there were concerns among some that, to the degree that you have these different pots of money, and if you fill this public safety pot, with money, then general fund money that was spent on public safety can now be spent all elsewhere. Let's make sure that public officials don't kind of play a Trojan horse of sorts as a means to collect more money than we need. And I think that's a legitimate debate that honest people can have. My concern was, I would have liked to have seen a longer process of analysis around this, and that we didn't necessarily need $6.7 million, but I was inclined to think that maybe the county needed a 0.2% maybe increase in the lit, not 0.5. And that reasonable people can differ on that. I mean, the deal is done. The council gets to have their say. I made my thoughts known, and it's over, essentially. But, we're discussing it because it's recent news and it's newsworthy. So
we got Tim Stabosz, LaPorte County Auditor, in the studio today. We're going to take our first break. We got some callers to get to. We want to talk about the local income, the property tax stuff for you as well. If you got a call, 219-362-0522. Email me at soundoff@967theeagle.com. We'll get to your callers when we get back, but keep listening to 96.7 The Eagle.
For over 50 years, LaPorte has trusted Cannon's Automotive Service for prompt, efficient, same-day service. And that same Cannon's commitment extends to area businesses who rely on a fleet of one or many to take your goods or service to the customer. Whether it's the truck or trailer that needs maintained or fixed, trust Cannon's Automotive to maximize your productivity with same-day service. Now with 2 Cannon's locations, 710 Tyler Street and 909 Boyd Boulevard.
With Cannon's Automotive, we fix everything.
It's no wonder LiftMaster is the #1 professionally installed garage door opener. LiftMaster's MyQ technology alerts you if you forgot to close your garage door, and lets you close it from anywhere, anytime with built-in Wi-Fi. It also has battery backup, so you can get in your garage even when the power's out.
Don't panic. MC Doors same-day service is here for you. Go to mcdoors.com. That's right, mcdoors.com.
Nothing says spring better than a visit to Small's Garden Center in Stoneyard. Small's has the area's largest selection of plants, trees, shrubs, evergreens, perennials, and it's all 30% off now at Small's. And choose from over 60 varieties of fruit trees, raspberry and blueberry bushes. 30% off. Want someone else to do the work for you? No problem. Simply ask Small's to deliver and plant your purchase. It's all at Small's Garden Center in Stoneyard.
When it's time to make improvements on your outdoor space, think Small's Garden Center in Stoneyard. At Small's, you'll find a huge selection of decorative stones, wash stone, limestone, slag, flagstone, pavers, and boulders. Plus, Small's will load or deliver it for you. And right now at Small's, all topsoil and mulch is on sale. Call or stop by for prices. Shop Small's new selection of outdoor products for outdoor living, patio and garden area, and save on outdoor decor items. Now 30% off at Small's. Small's Garden Center in Stoneyard, US 20 in LaPorte, open Monday through Saturday, 8 until 5, and Sunday, 10 until 4.
LaPorte's very own Rich Hardesty will be performing at the Twisted Tiki Sports Bar and Pizzeria this Saturday night. Grab some friends and head on out for dinner and drinks. Then stick around and enjoy a special evening hanging out with Rich Hardesty and special guest Mo Z. The show starts at 7 p.m., so cancel those other plans you made because they're going to be turning up the night at the Twisted Tiki Sports Bar and Pizzeria at 7954 East State Road 4 in Fish Lake.
Raise your glasses to the sky. We're drinking Indiana Rye.
I'm Naheem Hines, running back for the Indianapolis Colts and proud supporter of the Muscular Dystrophy Association. My mom was diagnosed with muscular dystrophy when I was 14, and I watched her struggle. But MDA helped her get the best treatments and care, and they also help kids like my buddy Ethan.
My name is Ethan, and I'm 12 years old. Thanks to the Muscular Dystrophy Association and people like you, I have more hope than ever before. From day one, they've treated me like family at my local care center. MDA is the only one that funds over 150 care centers across the U.S. to help provide state-of-the-art care for adults and kids like me.
For over 70 years, MDA has been transforming the lives of people living with muscular dystrophy, ALS, and other related neuromuscular diseases. They fund the research for breakthrough treatments, care, and cures. And MDA provides support to thousands of families like mine and Ethan's in communities like yours. Thanks to MDA, kids and adults can live life to its fullest. Join us and learn more at mda.org today.
LaPorte Slicer Varsity Baseball is on 96.7 The Eagle all season long and proudly brought to you by All-Star Autos, Auto Body Specialties, LaPorte Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, MC Doors, O'Brien's Battery and Tire, Cubit Networks, Surf Broadband Solutions, Bennett's Uptown Shops, and by Land Heating and Air Conditioning. Join Chip Jones and Steve Marin for every game all season long on your radio home for Slicer Sports 96.7 The Eagle. Your forecast on 96.7 The Eagle brought to you by Harmon Expert Auto Service. If you're looking for a local and quality auto repair company, then look no further than Harmon Expert Auto with 2 locations in LaPorte, 308 Washington or 111 Brighton Streets. Visit their website at harmonexpertautoservice.com or call 325-0444.
Michiana weather.
Partly cloudy this afternoon with a high of 86. Southwest winds 20 to 25 miles per hour. Scattered thunderstorms likely tonight. Lows dip down to about 57. Cloudy. From the Weather Center at hometovnnewsnow.com. Right now, 78.
Thank you for tuning in to Sound Off. You can now text or email your questions directly to the studio. Call or text 362-0522 or email your questions to soundoff@967theeagle.com. This is Sound Off.
Welcome back, friends. Glad to have you here on Sound Off. We're going to get to your calls in just a second, but I want to talk a little bit about this property tax stuff that's happened in the county. Because again, there's been some confusion about it, and some people don't know, and maybe this will answer some of the questions we have, and then we'll get to you who are waiting on the phone. So explain to our listeners a little bit what happened with property tax. We essentially got property tax bills sent out, and then there was a small error in it, correct?
Well, yes, and we regret it very much, and I personally regret it very much and take responsibility. The Homestead Supplemental Deduction, one of those deductions or exemptions we talked about, really the most significant one by any measure, is you get the standard deduction of $45,000 off the value of a homestead. You get an additional 35% additional for supplemental deduction, or 25% if the assessed value is over $600,000. We set that. We didn't do a batch update of that number, so the number ended up being the same as the prior year. Now, there's a whole host of reasons how that happened, and unfortunately, because of, as I'm sure the public's aware, and you as newsmen or people have seen, there's been a lot of a blame game going on, and so we can get into a lengthy discussion of how this happened. The most significant thing is that all 3 of the people in my tax department were lost in 2021, and the chief deputy retired for that department, and the other 2 left and went downstairs to the treasurer's office. So they were wooed away, or they left. So we were in. I mean, quite frankly, I think it created a certain amount of systemic risk in the department. I have all the faith in the world in who I installed to that position of being the chief tax person. They did not get the support she did not get the support she needed from downstairs. I would have hoped that the treasurer would have seen that partly because she wooed away, or 2 people left and went downstairs. I mean, they have a right to leave, that's fine. But that we were at greater risk and needed greater help. unfortunately, we're one key failsafe that went wrong was that the former tax chief who retired a week after I started, and it was planned, it wasn't because I started, who was willing to be helpful and talk on the phone to my tax deputy, misadvised her on not doing this batch update. It's complicated because of the way that parcels that are adjoining trailers were, it was some technicality, and there was either a misunderstanding or whatever, and she was advised not to do this batch update. So, I wish, I was looking here, I'm trying to think my notes here. I didn't catch it. Our financial services, this stuff is pretty complicated actually. And so our financial software vendor, who pretty much walks us through the process of doing the certified net assessed values, doing the tax abstract, and eventually creating the tax bills, we had asked very firmly for them to come in person, which they did in 2020, which is why part of the reason nothing went wrong in 2020. And they didn't or wouldn't for some reason. So, there's a lot of people that didn't catch us. Even the Department of Local Government Finance of the state of Indiana, we gave them certified net assessed values that were incorrect because of this Homestead Supplemental error. And they didn't catch it because their algorithms or whatever they look through, they didn't catch it because they look for differences, changes of significance, not numbers that are unchanged. So leaving aside the issue of blame and responsibility, there's been other issues in this county over the years. We had the Auditor of State saying in a conference call that this happened in other jurisdictions. Then we had, the people that are trying to go after me politically, trying to get letters and testimony from the Department of Local Government Finance saying this is the worst error we've seen in 5 years. So it just, we set that stuff aside because it was distracting from really the teamwork needed to get the fix done. We've got a fix going, and we're expecting to send out replacement tax bills early next year.
Yeah, and as an aside, that is always an interesting thing about government. When we elect new people, it doesn't mean that new people always know what they're doing right away, right? And the staffs and things like that have to sometimes get caught up. One of the things, though,
there's a lot of delegation that goes on.
Yeah, one of the things, though, I think for our listeners who owe tax dollars, so obviously, as it stands now, they were supposed to pay the amount that they got billed. Is that correct?
That's what we asked, correct.
Okay.
We asked people to pay what they were billed. The typical bill, a median difference would be off by $30-something. So,
and then if we get caught up in the following year, or will they get another tax bill with the amount that they're owed?
We expect to send out an updated tax bill in the first half of June.
Okay.
So, and the treasurer and I have said publicly, and it's really up to the treasurer and the auditor to agree and present, to the county council, the intentions with regard to waiving fines, late fees. I believe we have both stated, ultimately the council has to approve this, so nothing is in stone yet, that those that paid that bill that bill wrong or not, and presumably, perhaps even, although I'm not certain about this, those that paid nothing, I can't speak to that for certain because that's ultimately up to the council what they approve and what fines or late fees specific to the spring payment only. If you had previous delinquencies, those will still accrue penalties. But regarding the spring payment, either not made or certainly if you made the payment of the bill you gave, there's certainly no penalties for that.
All right, let's get to a caller. Hey, thanks so much for waiting on the line. We've got County Auditor Tim Stabosz on the show with us. What's your question for Auditor Stabosz?
Good afternoon, Mr. Stabosz. This is Steve Hollifield.
Why am I not surprised you're the first questioner? Sorry, hi, Steve.
I try. I like to enlighten people about what their problems are in their county government.
Yes, hey, sometimes it's just Steve and I listening, but that's okay,
I would like to say thank you for doing exactly what we elected you to do as the
Some
auditor.
would disagree with you.
Well, they can do that. That's freedom of speech.
Thank you, Steve. I appreciate
My question has a two-part. You verified that experienced people from your office left to go somewhere else besides the retirement. Is that common practice? Speaking with other county employees, that's really not common. And why is it allowed to happen? And at the other part of my question, these outside vendors that most county offices. I know your office does. I believe the treasurer's and the assessor's office use them.
Yes.
Why are we not? We are paying these outside vendors. Why are we not demanding that they provide assistance when it's needed? Thank you.
Well, the first question really is, there's not much to say about that. I mean, the reality is that two people in my office, one retired, she planned on retiring. I will say this, I think the thing that was bothersome is the person that I installed into that position to be the new tax chief had asked the previous auditor, can I shadow this position the last 2 months before I took office, knowing, okay, there's going to be a new auditor here. Can I shadow this position? Can I learn about this position? She had asked very directly, and she was never given that prerogative. And so she had to learn a lot on her own. And it's not easy to learn things with checklists or whatever. I mean, there was some help given to the person who used to be in that position who retired. But so as far as, people have the right to leave and go where they want. And some of them had loyalty and warm feelings towards the former auditor who'd been elected treasurer. So I'm not going to begrudge them that. I'm just saying that I wish that maybe there would have been a more seamless relationship between myself and the treasurer. Not that it's a terrible relationship, but it has been difficult at times because the fact of the matter is the treasurer is a key acolyte. I like to use the word acolyte to the county attorney. Had the right to leave. It's a free country, and I will say that I'm very happy that I've hired a total of 4 people, and 3 of those hires have been absolutely outstanding. That department is getting very strong. So that's been one of the most exciting things about the job, is to support a team of people and to supervise and oversee people. And so your second question, as far as outside vendors, what was the question specific to it again? The professional service providers?
Yeah, he's not there anymore. So
he's not there anymore?
Yeah. Yep.
He had a question about the professional service advisors.
Why isn't there, I think, more accountability and stuff like that?
I don't know. I guess we need to talk. We need to follow up with them. We've been working closely with them on getting this whole tax bill situation fixed, believe me, because they're almost like recreating where the data was back in August. So we've been focused on that and not so much, where were you when we needed you? I mean, we're going to be talking about that with them. What happened? Part of it's this job market. I'm sure they're short people.
All right, we're going to take another break, our final break of the day, and get back just for a couple more minutes of the show. But we got Auditor Tim Stabosz on the show with us. The Liquor Vault on air line is 219-362-0522. Keep listening to 96.7 The Eagle.
Ben Conowitz here, owner of LaPorte Seamless Gutter. My parents started LaPorte Seamless Gutter in 1982 with one goal in mind, really. Our customers' 100% satisfaction. And we are still providing the same customer service that Tim and Seal Conowitz started all those years ago. Give us a call today for a free estimate at 219-362-9972, or you can visit us on the web, www.lpseamless.com. 219-362-9972.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Red Hot buys are going on all month long at your local Cable and Ace Hardware. What a better way to start off your season than starting off with a new grill from your local Cable and Ace Hardware. They offer assistance with your purchase, free assembly, and delivery on select models. So stop in today and ask for more details. Your local Cable and Ace Hardware has all Traeger, Weber, and Big Green Egg grills on sale now. Around the block, what you need in stock with people who know their grills.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks. Your hometown credit union. People helping people. First Trust Credit Union.
Is the idea of purchasing a new home just a fairy tale to you? First Trust Credit Union can help. First Trust offers first mortgages, FHA, and VA loans to fit your needs, or maybe you just need to make some much-needed home improvements with a home equity line of credit. What are you waiting for? Let First Trust Credit Union help you live your happily ever after with a home loan that's right for you. Stop by any of our First Trust locations in Michigan City, LaPorte, Valparaiso, and Wheatfield, or call 800-276-6161 or apply online at firsttrustcu.com. First Trust Credit Union is an equal housing opportunity lender. NMLS number 399279. Mortgage loans are provided by First Trust and by a partnership with Servron Mortgage, an affiliate of Servron Incorporated. NMLS number 1037. Loans subject to credit approval with rates based on consumer credit scoring system.
Your hometown credit union. People helping people. First Trust Credit Union.
So, first day at your new job. A lot of nerves, right? Not really. Why? Because when you were getting your associate degree at Ivy Tech Community College, you received hands-on training on state-of-the-art technology, most of it the same equipment you'll be working on today. You're ready because the staff and faculty at Ivy Tech made sure of it. They met you where you were at, then helped you get where you were going. A new career paying 10 grand more a year than what you can get with just a high school diploma. And it all started at ivytech.edu.
Dave, you guys built a new deck.
Oh yeah, it was easy.
It's on a bit of a slant, but I can live with that.
Yeah, you think? I thought it looked pretty good.
I don't think that railing's up to code either. So, are we just going to stand here, or can we actually go on it?
Oh no, I don't trust it enough to actually go on it.
No offense to Dave, but if you want the job done right, contact Powerhouse Construction in LaPorte. Decks, patios, or kitchen and bathroom models, Powerhouse Construction will ensure your satisfaction. Call 219-380-9981 to book a free estimate. That's 219-380-9981. Powerhouse Construction.
You know, with so many things going on around the area, it's really hard to keep up with this and that, and where is it all taking place? Especially when the weekend arrives and, hey, you're looking for something to do and all of a sudden, you forgot. Well, not anymore. Let us introduce you to the Weekend Entertainment Guide. Heard every Thursday and Friday here on 96.7 The Eagle. We'll list your nonprofit event on the air for everyone to hear. Also, we'll list it on our website at hometownnewsnow.com for others to see. Just visit hometownnewsnow.com, click on the Submit tab, and fill out the form and contact us for payment as we take credit or debit cards. It's the Weekend Entertainment Guide every Thursday and Friday here on your station for country music variety, 96.7 The Eagle. And don't forget to visit our website at hometownnewsnow.com. It's the Weekend Entertainment Guide on 96.7 The Eagle and at hometownnewsnow.com.
Bethany Church, ourlocalheroes.us. Light Up the Darkness, July 2nd.
It's a drone and fireworks show with limited parking available. Advance tickets at 362-3312.
Your opinion matters. We invite you to share it by calling or texting the Liquor Ball on-air line at 362-0522. That's 362-0522. Now, back to Sound Off on 96.7 The Eagle.
Welcome back to our final segment of Sound Off. Hey, a quick reminder, the starting time for the Slicer baseball game at Kankakee Valley today has been moved to 4:45 at Kankakee Valley. So if you're going to support the very good LaPorte County or LaPorte Slicers baseball team, you should certainly go there on time. All right, let's get
You're
to
taking
another.
from my time. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
let's get to another caller. Hello, caller. We've got the auditor, Tim Stabosz, in the studio. What question do you have?
Yes, is this me?
Yep, this is you.
I paid my property taxes for the year. When will I expect my refund?
Thanks for calling.
We are in the process of calculating the tax bills, and those that have a surplus who paid the full year's bill will be able to claim that surplus. We haven't discussed yet whether or not those how that process will work. If there's a check that goes out automatically, or I'm not sure about the statutory requirements involved with the state or whatnot, but I would imagine those will be able to be claimed as early as possibly late June.
Okay, before the next cycle of tax.
Yeah, I mean, if we know what your full year is, you know, when that's set in stone and you overpaid, I mean, you're entitled to that, to claim that surplus. So,
all right, let's get to another caller. Hey, thanks so much for calling the show. We've got Auditor Tim Stabosz on the show. What's your question for Mr. Stabosz? Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, you're on the show. What's your question?
Yes, I want to know how he can guarantee that there's refunds on these.
We certainly can't guarantee that there's refunds, but however, since the Homestead Supplemental deduction was identical to the prior year for those with homesteads, and most assessments went up, as we all know, property values are going up, your Homestead Supplemental deduction should have gone up, which means your taxes are more likely to be too high and your bill somewhat too high rather than somewhat too low. Now, some people's could be too low also. I won't get into all the... So we don't know, but most people will have slightly overpaid. But if you just paid your spring installment, that means you'll just owe somewhat less for the fall.
We have a question here through this. Essentially, are the mistakes that were made, are they cleaned up for the next year? Will we have a repeat of this, or do you worry about that?
I think we've certainly learned a lot, and we're putting in fail-safes and checks. My biggest regret as the auditor himself is to not have caught the fact that a Homestead Supplemental was identical on certain bills through a spot check. I presume, I can't speak for other office holders, but that the office holder responsible for sending out the bills perhaps would regret that as well. I don't know. There was a lot of people that wanted me to be the fall guy for the entirety of this thing, but we already talked about that earlier.
All right. Well, let's see. Do we have time for one more caller or no?
The arbitrage question.
Yeah.
No? Okay.
No. Let's get to one more caller. Hey, we got Auditor Tim Stabosz in the studio today on Sound Off. What's your question?
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Hi.
From what I understand earlier, when you missed, I really don't want to say you missed the bond payment,
Sure.
but you know what I'm talking about
Yes.
when that came up?
Yep.
From what I understand, it really happened, though. The email got sent to the treasurer, who used to be the auditor. Is that correct?
Correct. I mean, what ultimately happened was there was confusion between myself and my chief deputy. We had a bond payment that was due to the same bank for two different bond payments, and he had thought that he had made both payments. And I sent him notices: pay this, we need to pay it. He thought he had paid it. It was a mistake. I take my responsibility also. I could have independently verified if he had paid it. That's ultimately what happened. But yeah, we've had issues with notices that we're still, picking up. People are sending notices to the former auditor. We need to get these. We've cleaned almost all of those up at this point, but that was one of the issues.
All right. I want to thank you so much for being on the show. I'll give you your final word, Mr. Stabosz. What do you want our listeners to know?
Well, I've enjoyed and been honored by the position of being the chief financial officer and protecting the taxpayers' money, funds. I take the job very seriously. It's been a tremendous honor, and any way that we can help you, please come down to our office at 555 Michigan Avenue. Make sure you have all the tax deductions you're entitled to, etc. Thank you for the opportunity to be on the show.
Hey, thanks so much for being here on Monday. Bert Cook will stop by, who's the executive director of LEAP, and we'll talk about just different economic development stuff going on in the city of LaPorte. If you have any questions, be sure to listen to that show. Hey,